that article.
They did some kind of research, didn't they?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think, Chad, did you get a did you get a tracking sheet? I know. I want to make sure you. Has everybody got a tracking sheet?
What page on the tracking sheet is your?
Well, they said that the pages aren't going.
Yours won't be the same as ours?
No. I would give you the. Can I have everybody's attention? I think we're getting ready to start. Okay. Thank you. We've got another member coming in, and let's make sure he gets the tracking sheet. First of all, I'd like to thank all my appropriation members for being here so bright and early and for the work y'all have done on this. If everybody has a tracking sheet, we'll begin. First is the Department of Agriculture. And we're just going to go over the changes in the budget. I'm not going to mention anything except the changes. The first change is 13.2.6. We said the Department of Ag needed some new positions to fund for inspection of food safety, and we said to utilize the $219,598 of existing funds that you saved from rental, and we increased the funds to provide for the 11 food safety and plant safety inspectors, and we increased it by $378,000. That is the only change we made on that page. The next page, if you will turn to Soil and Water, which is an attached agency to agriculture, 13.7.6, transferred funds and 8 positions to the Corporate Extension Service Program and the Board of Regents of the University of Georgia. And we transferred the funds, and we also transferred some operating expenses of $43,750 for the 8 positions. The governor only transferred the positions, and the House version includes some operating expenses. 13.7.7, we reduced the one-time funding for motor vehicle purchases for $44,587. We removed the funds budgeted for purchasing the automobile to be consistent with the other state agencies, and we asked them to buy their cars like other state agencies do. I think those are the only changes that you'll find right there. And I'm not calling out the page numbers because my page numbers are not consistent with yours. If you will turn to Department of Community Affairs, 16.2.4. I'll give you a few minutes to find it. 16.2.4. We eliminated one-time funding for the Coastal Regional Commission of Georgia grants for coastal infrastructure. It was eliminated in the governor's budget, but what we did, we put $50,000 back in it. Because one reason we did this, they were able to pull down from that $100,000, they pulled down $2.4 million for trails on the coastal Georgia, and we felt like we need to, the program is not finished yet, and it's in Bryan, Camden, Chatham, Glenn, Liberty, and McIntosh County, and we felt like that would give them $50,000 more because they pulled down so much federal money, and this would help them pull down more money to finish the trail. The next thing is 16.3.6, and 16.3.6 is tied to item 16.9.1 in DCA. We restored the funding cut that 17 made to 4 citizens advocacy offices, and they work with individuals with disabilities, and this impacts the communities in Atlanta, Athens, Savannah, and Macon. And it was just an oversight, and it was put in the wrong place in 17, and we all know the good work that advocacies do for people with disabilities. And if you'll turn over to the next page, we're still in community affairs, and you'll see down at 16.9.1, this is where we transferred it into the Georgia advocacy offices. 16.9.2, we eliminated one contract with the Citizens Advocacy Program. The program in Milledgeville has closed, and so we eliminated the funding that went to Milledgeville. The person has done a great job with that, but they don't have anybody to man the office. And when they get somebody to man the office, we will talk to them about restoring the funds. But right now, they're not that office isn't operating. Still in Department of Community Affairs, the governor, in the governor's budget, he had cut $25,000 from Second Harvest, and this was done before we had all the storms and everything. And we felt like with all the relief efforts that Second Harvest is doing since we've had all the storms, that we restored that, and that will give them $100,000 in their base. The next cut is 16.11.4. We eliminated the funding for a small film production grant of $300,000. This never did come about. It didn't work out like they wanted to, so we cut it. We eliminated it by $300,000. The next payment is we reduced the funding for the grant for resource conservation and development districts. In fact, we didn't, let me go back. First of all, they reduced the funding for Georgia Rural Water Association, and we said no to that and restored the $50,000. We said no to the governor's recommendation on research, conservation, and development districts. These are districts throughout the state, and they pulled down an untold amount of federal money with the small amount we gave them, and we restored that. We eliminated a one-time planning grant to the Georgia Regional Commission for $250,000. And that's all in Department of Community Affairs. Uh, 23.3, in the Department of Economic Development, the Georgia Council for the Arts, 23.3.4, they had asked for a one-time position, a new position over there for $65,000. The program currently has 5 positions to administer $1.2 million in grants, and we felt like that the agency should be able to manage with the current staffing level. And we said no to that. And we hope that they will look at some of our good art colleges throughout the area to do internships, because I'm sure that it'll be very valuable to them to have some interns over there, and interns are always wanting to get some experience. We reduced the funding for 23.3.5. We reduced the funding for administration by $13,889. They realized some savings and efficiencies, and we took that. 23.3.6, we transferred funds from the grant to the Georgia Council on Arts program to the Council on Arts Special Projects Fund. Our committee talked about this, and we felt like that we needed to divide up the grant money from the money that they did on administration. And so we've asked them to put it in 2 separate funds so all the grant money would go out and we could not mix grant money with administration money. And that is also reflected when we put it back in. We on 23.4.1. Those two things are related. That's where we put the funds back in. We're still on economic development. If you'll turn to 23.9.7, one-time funding of the Georgia Historical Society. We took the $100,000 one-time funding out. They were granted for markers to be replaced. This still leaves $160,000 in their base for the Georgia Historical Society. The next one is the one-time funding for the Georgia Humanities Council. The one-time funding was $10,000. We took this, there still remained $60,000 in their base. 23.9.9, we eliminated all funds to the Historical Chattahoochee Commission. This was a commission we had with Alabama, and Alabama has withdrawn from the commission, so we're withdrawing from the commission. 23.9.10, a one-time funding for marketing, $200,000 cut. The department was given $800,000 in marketing in FY17, and $600,000 is remaining in the base to market for the year of the film, as shown in 23.9.12. In forestry, there are no changes. Go over to Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission 40.1.5. This is provide funds for a utility research contract, which in essence is their trade association, and when times were hard, we were not able to pay our trade dues, and they use this agency for research to find out what's going on across the nation, and we restored $18,875 of that in hopes that the Senate will put in the other half. 40.3.5, we provided $110,000 for an analyst for the Commission's Energy Efficient and Renewable Energy section. This was their first priority. They requested it last year, and they need someone to help meet the needs and the increased workload that renewable energy is bringing. And those are all the changes that we made. Do I have any questions from the committee? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Tonight, but it does pass. Thank you, and thank y'all for all your work. Yeah. Okay. We had a good time. We missed you.
I hated to miss.
What did you have a good time?
I had to, yeah, I had a good time. I went to, meet with the soccer people.
Your notes are right now. It's not right.
Good.
Is that it?